Welcome home. And welcome home to the home of open wheel racing and the home of Formula style racing out there. The iRacing Formula B Super Formula machinery, more known for being run in Japan, gets its chance to go and stretch its legs at Silverstone, and critically here today in the Motorsport UK British Sim Racing Cup, a chance for everyone to put some points back against the likes of Croft and Woodhatch, who will not be allowed to qualify here today due to penalty points. My name's Jake Sperry, along with me for today's run of action then is Lorenzo Bonda. And Lorenzo, it's a tale as old as time, isn't it? Open Formula cars with lots of top-end speed at the home of British Motorsport at Silverstone.
Yeah, can't get any better. I love these Super Formulas, man. They are a hoozy to drive. Quite difficult, I would say, for those who've driven the Formula Renault 3.5 back when the 3.5 was actually the Formula B. Quite of a very, it's a big step up in terms of turbo and handling of sorts. But as we look to the calendar, longest race of the season. This is the most important thing, right? 1 hour and a half of racing, where a lot of things can make or break in this race if you're not paying attention to this car.
And not only that, they've got 2 lots of 20-minute races to come along at Thruxton and at Brands Hatch in the TCR and the Porsche Cup car then in May. Now, your Motorsports UK British Sim Racing Cup has its prizes presented by Regen Optics, eyewear made by gamers for gamers. So this is one where the top 3 get their color enhancer, their blue light blockers, their anti-fog cleaner pen, their rejuvenating eye drops, and a 35% website discount. There's also, for those who compete in all 8 rounds of the championship, a chance to raffle off a pair of Regen standards. And then at the end of the season, there will be a lot to raffle off. So please make sure that all your friends jump on for the final round so that you can watch some amazing action and get yourself in for some discount codes for some truly nice specs. So we'll go to championship standings now, where Croft and Woodhatch is 30 points clear at the top, but critically, he's got to do the hard work tonight, as he will have to go from the back of the field. He is not allowed to qualify out there here today. So for Noah's Balderston, Kieran Harding, Charlie Devlin and Zach Sweeney, they've all got a chance to put some points down on the board and see how far forward they can go. Ben Ford finds himself in 6th position with Aidan Carter 7th and Ben Smith in 8th. It leaves Cameron Knowles in 9th and Daniel Thomas on 51 points, rounding out your top 10 in the standings. We go over to qualifying, where they have 10 minutes and 3 laps available to go and set their times. And critically here today, we're going to be talking a lot about OTS. And for those who don't know, as Oliver Stone goes a second quicker than the rest of the field, OTS stands for the overtake system. Imagine a big magical push to pass button.
Yeah, absolutely. It just delivers you so much horsepower. But you know what is one of the most interesting things in my point of view, Jake? This car actually can top out its speed at the very end of the hangar straight, or actually coming up to the Stowe corner. Because as far as I'm concerned, this car tops out about 300 kilometers per hour, something like that. So without the boost system, if you are on someone's drag, you don't even need to use that, because this car just sucks in so much aero downforce from the cars in front of you that the only difference maker on the boost might actually be on the reacceleration, where that extra power might help you out on acceleration, but at the same time, it will make the car more loose, especially on that reacceleration. So some drivers need to be very cautious on how to use that, and also the 100-second cooldown they get after they're pressing the button.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if you press it for a second or you hold the button down. For all 200, you get a 100-second cooldown that says you can't use it again until the cool-down period works. Currently, it's Oliver Stone who is quickest at the moment on a 1:35.7. He's just moved a quarter of a second clear. Joey Ireland then crosses the line and doesn't get his third lap to go where it needs to. Noah's Boulderston finds himself second, but Charlie Devlin for Scorpio Esports goes to the top on a 1:35.5. This guy, Gareth Higgins, we haven't seen him for a number of weeks. In fact, we haven't seen him since Snetterton, Lorenzo, and this car needs to absolutely go as he looks to push here towards the line. And you can see there, he had a look around and went, oh, I invalidated it.
Yeah, I think he just went off too wide into the final corner. That's why he's cannot be believing himself. But yeah, this is going to be one of those fun races. I can tell you for sure. I've dabbled with this race car a lot in a week in Suzuka. It's a fun car. It gets so much better as the stint goes on because the car gets lighter. The tires, you know, they do grip up. They get heated up. Something that kind of happens very similar to what the F3s and also I would say the Formula Renault as well would get back when we used to race the Formula Renaults in Formula B. So it's a car that it basically rewards good driving, and I'm looking forward to see some good driving. But we have that expectation. Can cause some chaotic starts because of the cold tires, and because we have such a switch up of corners going from Abbey all the way down to Farm.
Yeah, there is a lot that can do as Daniel Thomas will see his third and final lap invalidated, and that will be nobody else out on circuit with 1 minute and 15 seconds remaining. So I think that is going to be that as far as how they are going to stack up today. It will be worth noting that those final 4 drivers down at the bottom here, Lorenzo, are going to be set up by their road Formula iRacing, and that's going to be interesting to see who has what in that regard.
Yeah, and starting at the back sometimes, especially in these hectic starts, that can be a good thing. I'm not gonna lie. Of course, we have to talk about Crofton Woodhatch is now partaking into qualifying, so it's basically what his high rate is going to be and how much effort he's going to have to do to climb up this 18 car field, or how many cars it will have in front of him. It's going to be 14, it's going to be 16, doesn't matter, still going to be a lot of work. So how patient is he going to be trying to climb up the grid in this 90-minute race?
First lap is always going to be the most difficult. We play to time today out there, and 90 minutes is what we traditionally see in a Formula One event. And these cars over at Suzuka in the real world were topping out heading into the Casio Triangle faster than the Formula vehicles were when they were derating. So as it goes, your grid will look as follows. It's the 230 of Charlie Devlin out there on pole position, a quarter of a second faster than Oliver Stone, as Noah's Boulderston and Ben Ford will line up third and fourth. Zach Sweeney will line up fifth. He'll have Gareth Higgins alongside him on the third row, as Daniel Thomas and Cam Knowles will be seventh and eighth. Joey Ireland may be slightly down in qualifying from what we saw in practice. He'll go from ninth with Aidan Carter in 10th. It then leads to Ben Sieber and James Fremont almost 2 seconds off the field pace there. Stuart Rice then leads Harley Byrne, and then the 4 who did not get the chance to set a lap time today: Crofton Woodhatch, Luca Monroe, critically Kieran Harding as well, having to go from the back, as well as Stanley Rolfe, who will be looking to charge up the order and say, this is what I am capable of. So we know that they've got the overtake system available. We also know this is either going to be a 1 or a 2-stop race, depending on who manages to do what. So this is going to be all about managing yourself, saying this is the longest race on the calendar. It's a cold 22 degrees here in Towcester, Northamptonshire, England, and so this is going to be one where I think you're going to have to be switched on. Charlie Devlin's got Ryan Stringer as his spotter out there, giving him all the help, the hints, the tips, someone to just look around and say, look, I don't want to get into any trouble. Off at the start of this race, we wait for the likes of Aiden Carter to get onto the grid, and now the lights process will begin. 90 minutes, then here from Silverstone, we get ourselves set in the British Sim Racing Cup, and we are underway. Very bad there from Charlie Devlin, bogged down with a mile of wheel spin. Oliver Stone moves to the race lead comfortably with Osbaldeston, Ford and Higgins in follow. One car's going to go off in the background. That's Kieran Harding, who's now scrabbling through the gravel with Stanley Rolfe, also having to avoid to the inside then, in at turn 4 through the loop and over towards that Wellington straight. It's Noah Osbaldeston who now leads.
Yeah, what a start from Osbaldeston, basically having a Max Verstappen start as Stone goes around the outside, and you can see some people trying to look for using that overtake system button already in the start of the race. Not the case for Ben Ford though. He's very light on that button, and Gareth Higgins having a little bit of a wiggle, but keeps the car on track. That's the thing he wants the most for this first lap.
And what a poor first lap for Charlie Devlin. He's gone from 1st to 12th. He's behind Crofton Woodhatch, then out there, who's moved himself up from 15th to 11th as they hit Maggots, now working through this left-hander into Beckett's corner, and now in through Chapel on the exit, and on the noisy pedal away for the hanger straight for the first time. It's Osbaldeston, Stone, Higgins, Sweeney, Ben Ford is looking to eye up a pass here on Zach, and there's a car off in the background, and into the wall hard goes Stanley Rolfe.
Yeah, just having issues, Stanley Rolfe right there, and meanwhile, Sweeney goes into 4th ahead of Ben Ford right after Stowe, so things are moving, and you were talking about Devlin having a bad start. It's kind of like what Kimi Antonelli used to do in the start of the season, if we're trying to make a little bit of comparison. He's completely bottom of the car, and here's the issue with Kieran Harding on turn 1.
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to get around Stuart Rice and be uber aggressive with it. This is Stanley Rolfe out into the grass, loses the back end, bang, straight into the barriers and demolishes it. Critically though here today, 1 fast repair, so you're not out of it straight away if you get involved in instant, as it starts to get busy here in the mid-pack. Joey Ireland getting involved. Carter now looking for a way past Cam Knowles as they all stack up here behind the Welshman, Daniel Thomas, who's holding himself very stable right now as Knowles gets pushed out by Carter.
Yeah, and good move from Carter right there to go get the position and retain it in the corners. You know, one of the things we're not also seeing way too much is all the drivers not using the OTS. Maybe at the start there were some cases, but in here, because you got 200 seconds overall, you just need to be very cautious in a 90-minute race. You kind of have to manage it quite properly and basically save it to the end. It's not like you could do it in a normal race where you can basically, I don't know, use it at least once every 2 laps.
Exactly. So when you're looking at normal racing out there, or the iRacing officials, you can use it a bit, as Gareth Higgins has to get out of the throttle there slightly, and straight down the inside went Zach Sweeney. He wasn't taking no for an answer. He saw how he had to abandon ship and jumped on through. Critically, Ben Ford couldn't jump in on that as well. There is Zach racing at home for the first time as he looks to get himself all up and ready here, and he is very much in the business of Oliver Stone at altitude frame. Drive lounge could be staring at 1-2 here as they work on forward. Gareth Higgins very happy in that 4th place as they work then through the newest section of this circuit. It feels very disingenuous to call this new out there, Lorenzo, and this has been part of the circuit for a long time. Cam Knowles getting a big wiggle. There goes Devlin through.
Yeah, Devlin just took ahead of the opportunity, but that was a little bit of a dangerous moment. Meanwhile, Carter on the inside coming into Brooklyn's loop field makes the overtake and actually sticks it out ahead of Joey Ireland. And Ireland trying to get around on loop field, but not enough room for him to go out. And these are one of the sections, Jake, where you kind of have to manage your throttle, because it's very easy to lose the rear end of the car. Because it is not the highest gearing of corners, and this car is very sensitive on low gears, on how you re-accelerate the car coming back into the racetrack.
Yeah, it's very important, the re-engagement through the gears. You've got to make sure that you are managing that properly as you work around the circuit. We're only almost 5 minutes in. I noticed Ben Ford's livery as he goes to make a move on Gareth Higgins for position and can't quite get there. He's trying his best to conjure up an 08 Lewis Hamilton drive here. The only issue he's got with trying to do that here at Silverstone, Lorenzo, it's not raining.
Yeah, if it was raining, probably the strategists would probably be frowning their heads and thinking what was the best strategy moving forward. Meanwhile, we just saw Oliver Stone hit the OTS for a little bit in the hangar straight before coming into Stowe. And meanwhile, great dive from Ben Ford on the inside of Gareth Higgins, moving into first place.
Yeah, lovely move there through farm and into Village Corner. Turn 3, you can get the pass done there. And Ben understanding that he wants to jump up the train, get further along and get maybe more beneficial fuel saving sorted in the early stages of this race, because it's all right being out there in front and holding a pace, holding a level. You need someone to tango with to make the fuel strategy work. You can either be aggressive or not. Gareth Higgins with that really upright seated position there, really trying to keep himself focused. And you can see that face of concentration in fifth. He doesn't want to lose contact with this group. He knows how critical it is for him to go out there stage hunting and trying to find victories. But if he wants these points, if he wants to gather them up, he's got to stay with this group in front. And they are lightning fast out there at the moment. And they're slowly starting to form up into an 11-car pack for the race lead.
Yeah, I think also one of the key things is because it is a fixed set, it is not an open set, that makes it a little bit more packy between everybody else. As Monroe moves up one spot, Woodhatch, meanwhile, is getting in the back end of Joey Ireland. So Woodhatch coming from all the way to the back, making moves. The race is coming to him, and everybody else should start to be paying a little bit of attention, because the guy is driving that car.
Yeah, he's driving well. He's in 9th, and he'll be now looking to think, okay, can I get by Joey Ireland? Can I get by Aidan Carter? Can I get by Daniel Thomas? He'll be eyeing this one up, one after another, to try and make sure that he can just leapfrog through and say, right, I'm going to get these places, and then that's going to put me up to the leading pack, and I'm going to be happy with it. You see a lot of drivers trying to work out how much they can do. Woodhatch just feigning over at Brooklands Corner, trying to get a move. Not going to get there, but the side-by-side with Sweeney, as Ford now is trying to get the launch out of the corner, say, look, I'm going to get by. Sweeney right now is having to be very, very choice, as he's on the 100-second weight of deploy at this point in time. Ben Ford hasn't touched his OTS as he now looks to try and get the crossover in towards Maggott. Sweeney, you're going to have to lift off of that one. Through goes Ford.
Nice move. That was well fought from Ford right there into the corners, making sure that he's putting up all that effort into his McLaren 2000s livery, the car. Meanwhile, Sweeney defending out from Higgins as he is on the move now with the OTS.
Yeah, and a bit of contact there. That's not going to be helpful between Sweeney and Higgins. You can tell by the roll hoop whether you're on the OTS or not. When it's flashing fast, it means you're using it. When it's full brick green, it means you can deploy it. If it's flashing slowly, it means you're in regen. Yeah,
so you need to be cautious how you use that. Like I said, it's a 90-minute race. You don't want to be burning that like some IndyCar drivers like to burn their push to passes in the real life race, right, Jake? So you have to be very mindful of how you approach that. Meanwhile, Higgins has a little bit of a wiggle coming out of the corner during that low gear reacceleration. The problem is everybody else just behind him is stacked. Thomas, Carter, Ireland, all behind them.
Sweeney's proven over the course of this season he's a very tough customer to go and get around, and Gareth Higgins having to go the long way around left field here. It's flat as you go through what is over 100 degrees of corner, and now going through over at Woodcote, now towards Copse, the old turn 1 out here. This fast right-hander, it's been profiled so many times over the years, but it seems like this profile favours Zach Sweeney for the moment as they look to figure out where they can get the run here through this fabled Esses section. It might be the greatest Esses section in all of motorsport, this one.
Yeah, quite arguably. I'm not gonna disagree on that. Probably out there with the. Can you even call the Senna S type of corner, because they name it the Senna S is a left to right. Is it? Can you even name that?
You can.
Yeah, fair.
By its definition, it's an S. It's just one S. It's not S's.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, you might. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So, Ben Ford, fastest lap then of the race on a 1:37.138. We expect these lap times to keep finding a way down. And if you're looking at a two-stop race, you're probably eyeing up a pit stop at around 35 minutes as Joey Ireland side by side with Crofton Woodhatch for position. Woodhatch thought he had it done over at Village. They now work through Aintree corner, and Woodhatch has to abandon all hope of that. Had to skirt across the grass to avoid contact with Ireland there. Heart in mouth stuff for him as he immediately just says, I want none of him. Charlie, your turn.
I wonder if he actually got a slowdown for cutting way too much out of the corner.
It's very possible that he could have got a slowdown penalty and just lifted off to allow that one to go through. I didn't get the chance to see whether he did or didn't, but Crofton Woodhatch was probably turning around and thanking his lucky stars. He's still in a race right now. As you can see, Ollie Stone all over the back of us, Boulderston. Oliver Stone's got the best Formula iRacing in this field. He's an 8K driver in this spec.
That's good to know, and look at him already on the inside. They're probably going to get the position on those Boddis, and he's not even going to fight back. Probably trying to save fuel for this current moment. So Stone was basically his wingman for a few laps. Why wouldn't Osbodiston be the wingman for a few laps and save fuel?
Well, why would he? That's going to be the real important question here. He knows how critical it is to save fuel, but maybe he has committed himself to a very aggressive two-stop by having to do all the donkey work, by having to be a rouleur for that main group. Sweeney and Higgins basically find themselves in this miniature pocket as they try and break away from the Welshman, Daniel Thomas, from Aidan Carter, from Joey Ireland, Charlie Devlin, and Crofton Woodhatch, who are all there at the moment and fighting for it. Kieran Harding, by the way, is still down in 17th position after the hit he had to begin with. He didn't go to the pits through this. He's just had to try and figure out his race from where he is, as there's the change for second, as Boulderston now drops behind Ben Ford, who I would say is one of the best Super Formula specialists. I'd expect him to challenge for the win, and number 44 is managing just that. Yeah,
doing very good, Ben Ford. Usually, if we're to capture basically all the Formula races, Jake, he's been doing very, very good. Of course, got into a few kerfuffles here and there, especially in Knock Hill in the F1600s. But in here, he's working fantastically. He's basically in tune with the car, and the question is how much of an effort he's going to do to try to get closer to Oliver Stone. Because like I said, this straight, if you're on the back wing of someone and quite relatively close, you don't need to activate the OTS to do an overtake. You can just let the normal draft do that for you, and you're gonna get carried over to top speed.
You are, and so with that draft, it's going to be really important to manage what you've got as Kieran Harding gets by James Vermont. That puts him up to 16th. Ben Ford with that pass gets the fastest lap, and side by side to turn one, Charlie Devlin takes control of it through Abbey Corner as he gets by Joey Ireland, and Crofton Woodhatch on the scene a little too quick as in comes Kieran Harding then to make his first stop, committing to the two.
Yeah, maybe alternate. I don't know if he alternated the strategy a little bit as well. You know, knows that he probably got some damage in the car, cannot linger for way longer. So it's like, let me just take the fast repair, get some fuel in, and do quality laps from now on with the clear traffic.
Well, it will certainly help him to have that clean air, and he will know that he'll be running on a full tank, basically, from this point on down. A little feign for a move at Copse Corner. Is it going to materialise for Ben Ford? As Noah's Boulderston here is going to try and see what he can do, but Sweeney and Higgins then as well, 4th and 5th. Holding himself still within about 1.7 seconds. So keep an eye out on how quick they're running along this straight. Oliver Stone up over 270. hitting 285 kilometers an hour. He reaches 287. Ben Ford with that punch through the air there, going through 291, 4 clicks quicker.
Yeah, just maybe some draft riding, making it a little bit easier for everyone. But I think, once again, I think they're at the point that I think aggression is not going to help them out one bit, because also you got to be thinking about tires. It's odd to think about that Silverstone actually consumes a lot of the tires, especially on those left-hand side tires. So you just cannot overheat them, and this is a car that is easy to overheat, especially with the aero push. So you just have to take it very cautiously before you coming into your pit stop.
And this is what often doesn't get talked about too much. Silverstone is pancake flat. It's got tiny rises and tiny falls out there, and not really a circuit that does much, as Stone is close on the defense and doesn't have to worry about taking too much of a defensive stance out there. But if you understand this circuit, it's high tire deg, which means that you are going to get through tires, and you're going to get through them quick.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not the easiest track for you to manage your tires. It's very easy for you to destroy your tires, rather, because you're doing so much close racing. We've seen that in F1. We've seen that in F2. Basically, we've seen it in all categories. That a little bit of tire management over here is quintessential for you to survive on the long run. Otherwise, you're just going to find yourself in a world of pain and basically be slotted behind with everyone else that might be on better tires than you. Meanwhile, I think we're looking at Daniel Thomas already engaged a little bit on his OTS and might be prepping the cool down for the time being.
Yeah, so you're just trying to work out, can you find a very big run? This is going to be a strong battle that they are looking at too. So I would be keeping in mind how everybody is trying to stay with, and if they can get and stay by the time they reach the first pit stop window, or for how they're all going to go together, if this group can get to Higgins and Sweeney, they've got a really good chance of fighting for the podium. If they don't, then they know that they're going to be looking at, what, 4th, 5th at best.
Yeah, something like it. They have to just be very cautious how they approach this race and do not basically let themselves get carried away. Meanwhile, on the inside is going to be Aiden Carter on Daniel Thomas. Just a better run in from the number 42 and basically guessing within the top 6.
Yeah, so they're working hard still, and this is where Crofton Woodhatch, who has been pretty much stymied here by Joey Ireland in terms of getting this pass done. He knows that he's got to work himself up the order, but I think he's realised a driver who's very difficult to get by is going to be very tough to note here how I get past. And it's also worth noting there the rain light was flashing on the back there for Joey Ireland. That's another indicator to drivers behind that maybe the OTS system isn't quite as active as it needs to be. Woodhatch closing down in, going to hit nearly 300 kilometers an hour, gets to the inside. Ireland pinches him down here at Stowe and works around the outside to hold the defense. Crofton doesn't get his number, and then Joey decides I'm going to attack Charlie Devlin. Best defense is a good offense.
Yeah, you can even see that. I think that it's on the region, right? His OTS for Ireland. So, you know, Woodhatch, you know what situation he's in right now? He knows that Oliver Stone and Ben Ford are kind of like I'm not going to say fighting tooth and nail, but they are kind of a ways for him. It's like, let me do the blocker job, right? Let me make the life out of the lead a little bit more difficult. And if I can shred some time away from him and allow the guys up in the front to go forward, well, maybe I can get some points away from him at the end of the race. Meanwhile, Ben Ford goes into the lead off this race.
Yeah, made the pass, and made the pass actually quite comfortably down the inside. As it was a lunging attempt at Brooklands right in front of the BDRC building as he got that one all done. So it puts himself now in the position. Here's a replay look underneath the bridge, looking to the inside on the brakes. He just absolutely bossed it.
Yeah, and not a lot of a fight back, from Oliver Stone right there. Just decided, well, I'm just going to try to save fuel away from you. while you guys are riding through this draft train. You know what this looks like of sorts? This reminds me a little bit of what went down at Talladega this weekend on stage, on the first stage, right? Not everybody wanted to go forward unless there were opportunities open for everyone, while Ireland goes a little bit off into Vale right there. But other than that, is the field game is basically on for everybody of sorts.
And you're seeing a lot more twitchiness out of some drivers here, because when the car gets lighter, there's less fuel in it, there's less weight to the car, and effectively less downforce in the car as well. So you know that you're going to have a car that gets looser as it goes about. It's what we call oversteer, and this is allowing Crofton Woodhatch now the perfect opportunity, because the gap has opened up. He can now go sending one to the inside. Joey Ireland is just going to have to yield, but Crofton overcooks it, has to really fight with the slip angle as he gets through Brooklyn, commands it back at Luffield and gets the move done. But that wasn't plain sailing for Crofton Woodhatch there.
No, I think he just went too fast with the OTS engaged, and as soon as he tried to get back on the accelerator, the car just kidded away a little bit. So I think he just had to be cautious. That's why it looked like he cooked Brooklyn's in the beginning. But what this done in the meanwhile brought Kim Nose into the fight. Look at Nose body language of sorts. He was trying to look into the inside of Joey Ireland coming into Maggots, but there was simply no room for the number 13 to actually attempt an overtake.
Yeah, so he's not quite there to get the next move done on Devlin, but Devlin is trying to sit down in the tank and fuel save, and we know that Charlie can fuel save well. We saw what he was able to do last time out at Alton Park. He really fuel saved to a number, and were it not for the contact that he had, he would have been able to go and challenge for the race win, no doubt about it. So that's where they're setting up at the moment, and Crofton Woodhatch happy as he hits on the brakes then into the right of turn 3 and then over to turn 4. Oh, he gets so close. He's got so much more confidence at the moment, does Crofton Woodhatch. I think you just need to give him open pasture at the moment. It's like looking at a horse that is ultimately only being allowed to canter when it wants to go into a full sprint like the Grand National, like this, straight down the inside.
Going full sea biscuit mode, if you really want to call it.
It was a pure pass. It was a lovely pass. And I think also it goes to stand of a pass that needs to be done, Lorenzo, for track position coming to the pits.
Yeah, absolutely. And now I think he's going to get one more opportunity. I think Daniel Thomas' regen was actually activated. So Woodhatch might go from basically P9 all the way up into P7. Nearly gripping into P6, because look at Aiden Carter. He's broken away from this train. So the question is how much of a fight that Mr. Charlie Devlin will put right behind him, because the body from Devlin's portion, it was looking very racy, but Woodhatch goes up one spot.
Yeah, gets one, and then Charlie Devlin follows suit. So Daniel Thomas sees two very quick drivers go by on the straight. He'll try and make sure it's not 3, because Joey Ireland now is going to welcome him to the freight train. He runs wide, but now they're going to be side by side, and Daniel Thomas holds his mark, but now this brings Cameron Knowles into play.
Absolutely. Like I said before, Knowles be just lurking now around there, waiting for the perfect opportunity. Ireland, in the meanwhile, goes on the inside of Thomas, and Thomas doesn't try to fight back at the exit of the corner.
Well, there goes Joey Ireland straight off the road, and those two places go. Cameron Knowles might get them both here as he works through. Somehow Daniel Thomas was able to avoid contact on the front wing, and Cameron Knowles jumps through and says, you know what, I'll have you both. Up to 9th he goes.
Yeah, cooked them perfectly with some garlic, whatever seasoning you want up on top of it.
It's pretty much the nicest seasoning that you can have in terms of an overtake. That was beautifully constructed out there in terms of opportunistic overtaking. An hour and 6 minutes remaining on the clock, and they're trying to reach 45 minutes. If you can get it to 45 minutes, you're in on a one-stop strategy out there. Ben Ford is really pushing. He's broken the gap to Oliver Stone now to 1 second, and because this has been a little bit more open, more expansive, we saw a big pack forming early on, and now smaller little packs going along. Daniel Thomas sees Joey Ireland. He's full of fight out there is Joey, and he is not going to sit back idly.
No, Ireland engaged on the OTS. You can even see that is actually on the cooldown, waiting for the regen to be done. So just took the perfect opportunity and moved up 1 spot. Maybe Thomas just using too much of the tires, like we said before, right? High degradation track, so maybe those left-hand side tires from Thomas right now must be starting to scream a little bit, waiting for some grip to, you know, come on the car. And everybody else in front of him right now just taking the opportunity and move up 1 spot.
They all want to jump up. They all know how critical it is to do so, and they're also keeping in mind Kieran Harding here and how far back he is in this race. He's doing 1:37.2s at the moment, and this group right now, Cameron Knowles, did a 1:37.9 on that last lap. So they've got to be alert to how much they're battling for cars that are on alternative strategies that will jump themselves through the order by comparison. So there's a lot to try and navigate and deal with even at this stage as we move to about 30% of the way through this race at this point. Thomas still looking to hold steady, but they're getting another name to the party here in Luca Munro in 12th.
Yeah, it's interesting how Monroe's race has gone, right? Not as eventual as Crofton Woodhatch's races has been, but good race for Monroe, nearly coming into the top 10 as noses around the outside of Devlin, sorry, not Devlin, but Ireland, and just couldn't get the moves to stick. But that brings actually Monroe into the front properly. He just needs a few more corners to get properly in the back wing of Thomas' car in front of him.
Very, very much so. Joey Ireland with a nice pass there down the hanger straight as Cameron Knowles now sits in the group. Thomas and Munro there just behind as this pack of 4 now looks to set its shop up as they now work forward. So getting along here on a circuit that's gone through a number of great developments. If you want to understand the history of Silverstone, Southpaw Race has done an incredible YouTube video detailing what this circuit is all about, and I'd implore you after this race to go and watch it. But around this Luffield corner, it's about aggro factor. Oh, and that aggro factor for Cam Knowles just dipped tyres slightly off there over on the left-hand side, created a wiggle here. Honda being elected by Daniel Thomas's car of choice. You can choose Honda or Toyota. It makes no difference. They're exactly the same.
Yeah, actually, you say that. I think there's a slight advantage in terms of the Toyota having more power, but it's like 10 horsepower. So if we're truly being honest, then it's literally nothing.
Well, what's 10 horsepower out there? That's the question that you got to start wondering here. How it's what, a kilometre an hour is maybe all you're going to get, and then that's more wheel spin that you got to deal with, and maybe slightly more to worry about in the revs. Fastest lap for Oliver Stone then as he works aggressive to try and stay within a second. 36.1 played a 36.2, 7 thousandths between the leaders. Garrett Higgins staying close to Zach Sweeney. Sweeney is doing a really good job in 4th position. The only criticism you can have of him is he can't hold the toe of his teammate, and he's having to really work hard.
Yeah, and in working harder, he's actually wasting more fuel. So his one pit stop strategy might be down in shambles, pretty much. He's going to have to go for 2 pit stops as soon as the window opens up in a little bit.
Yeah. This might be a case of looking around, and maybe the early stuff has helped Zach Sweeney, but the issue is the more that this breaks up and the more that you don't find a partner to tango with on fuel saving, the more likely it is that second stint you're not going to be able to save as much fuel. That's why I think you don't need to reach 45 minutes. I think you got to reach 43, 42 minutes to have a hope of making it.
Yeah, and even then, if you're thinking about it, right, Jake, it's still going to be, not going to say quite problematic, but it still triggers a yellow warning because you're going to have to be quite aggressive on the fuel saving for you to make it on the second stint and still retain tire grip in the car. So looking forward to see what they're going to do next as no one else's pits and Monroe goes into the one spot. Woodhatch actually blinks.
Yeah, so Crofton Woodhatch is going to come in, and he's going to do this as a 30, 30 and 30 out there. So he's the first real taker, along with Kieran Harding, in terms of how he wants to adjust this race to his advantage. Munro's pass on Daniel Thomas was very astute into Stowe Corner, so that was good in terms of how they go. But Crofton Woodhatch out there going to get the fuel service sorted. Now this just reminds me of the pit stop that they only have one jackman for the front wheels and the rear wheels out there. So basically you got one guy on the gun for the fronts, one guy on the gun for the backs, and there was this lovely GIF that was out there I think a couple years ago of a Super Formula pit stop where one of the members of the pit crew decided they were going to do a full roll flip over the front nose.
I remember that. This is why we need to see more Super Formulas, not just in Japan, but also in other countries. As Stuart Rice and Harley Byrne decides to have a little bit of a race, and Rice on the inside gets the position of Byrne, but Byrne fighting back quite nicely over here.
Well, Harley knows that he has got to try and purr and get his pass back, and he's going to look at it, just not going to get the run here at Copse Corner. So Stuart Rice, for the moment, gets his place, but Harley's not done. He's going to force side-by-side here to Maggott's Corner, and now working through the left and into Beckett's now the right, and Chapel at the left. That was really tough to navigate through, and Harley Byrne, I think he was a little bit more patient. He could have had a great run to make that pass. Instead, he's invited Ben Sieber to the fray.
Yeah, and Sieber also kind of invited himself, taking the opportunity these guys were fighting, and also used the push to pass to get closer. So this is why we've seen Sieber and that number 26 joining the fray and making this three-car battle a little bit fun for us to watch.
Well, this is where the fun is starting to tick itself on in, because you know that you want to get up to the front and make these passes. It is the ideal thing of a racing driver from time to time, is that, you know, you get in there and you think, oh, I want to lead and I want to be dominant. But ultimately, it's that close quarters thrill that you get of putting a pass over on someone else. That's the joy of racing, is passing.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially in a car like I said before, this SF, the Dallara SF23 is such a cool car. You can throw it around on the racetrack. You can get lots and lots of overtaking opportunities, defend yourself. So even in the official races, you do like 45 minutes of racing, right, Jake? Give or take. You still get quite a lot. It feels like you've driven for a full hour of racing, if not even more. It's kind of like what we see in other endurance leagues. It's just good racing overall, and the majority are actually respectful while you're fighting them.
Yes, and that respect as well comes from the fact that, you know, you do anything with an open formula machine. You tag a tyre, you nick off an end plate, you find that you get a little bit too hot into a corner. You know the car is going to be a lot worse for wear. So when you see a lunge like that down the inside from Harley Byrne, it's not shut off by Stuart Rice as he comes down in to make his first pit stop. It was given the space on the inside to say, look, if you can hold it, keep going for it. Yeah,
absolutely. Any contact over here, you're not just in the SF23, but pretty much in the open wheels in general, it's going to be a race-ending incident, right? It's gonna be basically due to chance. If you don't get a damage or something of the nature, that you can still carry on the car without a problem. So this is why there's a lot of respect given to the drivers. But of course, you're still gonna get those ones hard fighting moments that your heart rate is gonna go from like maybe 90 to 180 quite easily.
I've seen some heart rate monitors of various racers out there. I've seen them hit 180 up out of the pits. Then goes Ben Sieber, still behind Stuart Rice, and critically, they come out about 11 seconds behind Kieran Harding. So if you want to consider that for where Harley Byrne was out there on 41 seconds, that would put a case then for them that they are very firmly in that 11th and 12th positions. Crofton Woodhatch, by the way, an interesting case here at 43 seconds off of the race lead. So I'm thinking it's going to be about 30 seconds as Sieber dives down the inside, says, look, I'm going to take some time at the front. I put Crofton Woodhatch right now ahead of Charlie Devlin on this strategy, but remember, it depends on whether it's 1 or 2 stops. You can get ahead, but you know you're going to have to pay the price later on. Look at this, straight back at Kopp's corner. Sieber leaves all the room in the world. You could have parked a tank there.
Something like it. For a moment, I thought I was going to get shades of Hamilton and Verstappen right there in 2021.
Look, they're just not giving up on this fight. Ben Sieber, they're side by side, going through Maggots and into Beckett, and just had to give it up initially. Big move across to the left-hand side then from Stuart Rice. He's got it covered here into Stowe, but look, this is for 16th and 17th places here. They're fighting like it's the last lap, and one of them's going to win.
Yeah. This is why this championship has been great, right? It gets racy from the front all the way down to the back. So you can still fight for positions, have a lot of fun. Might not be the best result in your point of view at the end of the race, but imagine you just wasted a whole race fighting someone, a lot of respect given. There is simply no way for you to say and be like, I had my day was very bad. I wanted to say something else, but it was not PG, so...
Well, if you say I've had a suboptimal day.
A suboptimal day, as Lewis McGlade would like to say.
Yes, if you have a suboptimal day, it's not going to be one where you're going to be going home too happy. But these drivers know that even so, they've had a great battle and they've had the likes, if they've wanted to, of using that overtake system. Now, we are expecting drivers to actually hold back on using that overtake system, Lorenzo, until maybe the final laps of the race where you can use it in that final push. It gives you an extra amount of horsepower to go and work with, makes the car maybe multiple seconds a lap quicker. But the issue you're going to run into as well is if you're playing this on a fuel save game, you're going to be burning a lot more fuel if you're pressing the overtake button.
Yeah, it's quite considerable how much you actually waste in the Super Formula when you actually engage the power. So you just have to be very careful. It's like your consumption goes up can go up to full liter if you just let it engage for quite a while we're looking from Sieber's above the cockpit camera as not engaging too much, but what I'm liking to see is basically shifting up the gears as in the optimal point of the gearing itself and basically keeping it flat out through Abbey.
Yeah, so he's trying to keep as much of that foot pinned down to the floor, lose as little speed as possible, and then get on the noisy pedal and continue on. Aiden Carter now comes in. He can't make it on a one-stop, and he's about 7 minutes shy. Well then, hits his box, goes up on the jacks, so there will be tyres taken here at this stop. Comes back off of them and now just needs the fuel, and off he goes then. Nice stop then, 8.8 seconds, and will be now able to charge away. And by comparison, Crofton Woodhatch is only making his way out to the final corner here on the back of Harley Byrne. So Carter has actually got out a fair ways ahead here of Crofton Woodhatch, and it goes to show you how much you lose if you're out there and working for it. Stanley Rolfe finding himself on the back as Woodhatch does dispatch a Byrne then for position, but Stanley wanting to get off of the wooden spoon position here, trying to make this pass, and ultimately with three drivers who have each all made one pit stop each. Stanley, tongue out, he's concentrating.
Yeah, I think the tongue is the universal language of you're locked in, you're fully locked into something. So yeah, every corner that he goes, it's kind of like can you say it's the human version of the DRS?
Yes, and you especially see it with people like Paul Smith, for example, here on RaceSpot TV. He's definitely a driver who...
And Zach.
Yeah, and Zach likes to concentrate in that same vein of fashion out there too. So you see a lot of it here that drivers really do look to concentrate and get what they want. Rolf with a very good run here against Ben Sieber. This will give him the inside for Brooklands corner. Spot your braking marker here, and look at that, just diving down in. Sieber tries to take the wide line to get better rotation speed, but not going to work. Nice pass.
Yeah, great pass without the usage of the OTS, just relying on draft and me. I don't know if Sieber made it a little bit easier. That overtake might have lifted off the gas at the entry of the corner, but still great pass nevertheless from Stanley Roth right there to get the 17th spot, and already on the back wing of Stuart Rice. Meanwhile, you're saying that Aiden Carter would get in front of Crofton Woodhatch. Woodhatch started to catch up a little bit, but because, of course, he has a lighter car in comparison to the number 42.
Yeah, and you got to remember, it's cold tyres, so you got to get them up to speed. As here comes another move for Stanley Rolfe, who jumps through now on Stuart Rice. So that's 2 in a lap that he's got, and he'll come in for his second stop of the day, which means he'll be on a 3-stop strategy with Stanley Rolfe, one of which was not what he wanted to go out there and use. So he knows he's a full pit stop behind the cars that he wants to race against. As in comes Zach Sweeney, and he will follow in Oliver Stone and Ben Ford, which means as Boulderstone right now is desperately pushing to reach an extra 4 minutes, and I'm not sure that he's going to get there, or many people will.
I don't think anyone will, to be honest, unless you're... I'm trying to find a really good field saver in F1. Yeah, besides Charlie Devlin. Devlin, I think, can make it easily as he just goes past it to the start-finish line for sure. But I'm wondering if they can make it. I think they got just one lap and a half in them before they come down to the final pit stop. But also comes down to how much of OTS seconds they use in the car that also allows to save some of that burn in the car.
Higgins out and away, and Aiden Carter has got out a mile ahead of Joey Ireland, but Crofton Woodhatch is out ahead of Ireland too. So that will give you a sense of where everyone is managing at the moment and who is able to get what. Kieran Harding, nowhere by comparison. He'll get by James Fremont, and that's about it from the pit stops. Knowles still ahead of Luca Monroe. They'll find themselves together out there for the moment. There is Luca repping it out right now with the EV plush on the left-hand side of shot at the moment, as he looks to try and settle on through Brooklands, goes into Luffield corner, and having a very good run for himself today.
Now, like I said before, you know, just starting from the back as well, just applying some positions. It's good to see Luca making progress, making strides in that overtake.gg car. So it's looking forward to see if he's going to be able to break into the top 10. He's been always this close into top 10 results this season. So let's see if he's going to be able to get one this time around, as there's a gap that he has to overcome against Cam Knowles in front.
James Fremont straight out of the pit, straight into a battle with James Sieber. They almost interlock tyres going into Brooklands, and Sieber gets the job done. So the 72, James Fremont, ultimately is going to have to sit back behind him there. Well done, Ben Sieber, getting that move sorted. And I do know that both Devlin and Boulderstone went a little bit longer out there, and I think they're going to have to do one lap more than even this if they want to make this one-stop strategy viable for them at this moment in time. You've also got Daniel Thomas yet to pit. We haven't talked too much about him.
No, not at all. It's insane what Daniel. Also, Daniel, if you're talking about, he's been all the way down in the middle. Lost some positions, was using mainly the draft to get around. We saw him also use the OTS, the Welsh driver, but I think after a certain moment, he started to back off, lose a lot of spots in the meanwhile. And I think that was just due to the fact that he was maybe saving more fuel than everybody else. You can even see behind that there are some people right behind him. And I think is that Charlie Devlin that looks to be right? No.
It's Stanley Rolfe and
Stanley
then
Rolfe.
Ben Ford behind him as in comes Osbaldeston and Devlin, and they're going to be short here, and they're going to be short by about a lap as far as I'm counting it here, but it's Daniel Thomas who's done the best of anyone. He is a surefire one-stopper. The issue he's got the race leader directly behind him.
Yeah, that's a bit of a problem in that situation, but he's doing his best. At least someone is going for that effort. If it's going to pay out for him in the end of the day, that's a question to be seen. But Ford is losing a lot of time to the back marker in front of him. He's losing a lot of time to Rolfe.
He is, and he finally gets the pass done, and Osbaldeston's come out the pit just in front of Oliver Stone, and I think that's really telling as a stop, because he dropped back by about 4 or 5 seconds from Stone, who will now dive down the inside, comfortably dispatching the Altitude Frame Esports machine and get back into third, net second. And now I'm starting to wonder here, did Oliver Stone get a bad pit stop? And now Osbaldeston just trying to get the temperature up. Is he going to be in struggle street for these 2 laps and find himself isolated for this second stint?
This is a great question, not going to lie. I'm looking at the pit lad. I'm looking at, he got a 41.129 Stone. Benford got a 41.2. Osbaldeston, for example, was a 40.596, so basically 0.7 of a second faster. As Toms, I think, is going to come into the pit lane and prep ahead for his pit stop. Or not. He's going to see one more lap? Okay.
No,
okay.
He's coming in. He just lost the place there to Ben Ford, making the move at Stowe. So that really sold what was important in that battle. Aidan Carter now finding himself in defensive trim. He's got Crofton Woodhatch trying to move up to what will be, once the pit stop of Daniel Thomas concludes, will be 7th place out there on circuit. So that's to enjoy. Crofton really throwing it about at turn 1. Now up to Village at turn 3. Looks towards the inside. Carter takes the big wide line and opens it up and says, you're not getting it like that. You're going to have to be a little bit cleverer than that to make that move. But best thing about Silverstone, you got 3 straights to go and work it. Main straight, Wellington straight, and then Hangar straight. But here on the Wellington, it's going to be a case of, I will order mine into the restaurant. Lovely stuff. Crofton Woodhatch up to 7th.
Yeah, absolutely. Good move from Woodhatch. Assisted maybe with the overtake a little for a quiet moment right there, as he's making strides and knowing that he was the first one to blink. So it is up to him to make up that ground and make up any deficit he might have accrued into this race.
Daniel Thomas has crashed on pit exit. He has got himself up to power and he has knocked off a front wheel.
Oh dear.
It's one of those where it's the old question of sport. What happened next? I think we're going to see on this replay. He just leaves the pit, and ultimately it's cold tyres, putting his foot down for the first time, engaging off the limiter, and the car's just snapped on him and spun around. So really tough to deal with. Sweeney still dealing with Gareth Higgins here in this race on for 4th and 5th. And the one driver we thought could make it on a one-stop now isn't going to make it at all.
No, not at all. He's going to take the tow. Maybe still has the fast repair, so he's still going to be in this race, but he's going to be all the way down to last position. The thing is, maybe just try to get to the end and get more experience out of the car. You know, it is just that thing. Cold tire is always that danger on reacceleration. You're back in, step out, and at Silverstone, it's not a flat exit. It's an uphill exit of sorts. So it's easier for you to lose the car because you have to turn it to the left-hand side, and the car simply doesn't want to grip up.
No, and especially at the beginning, if you're going to put a lot of work into the car early, you're going to put yourself in a lot of trouble. Now working over towards Copse Corner goes Higgins and Sweeney, and Zach has been the epitome of a driver. One win over the course of this, but he's been a consistency man out there. That's how he's gone and got his points. It's how he's grafted on his game. And someone out there right now who goes up against the Gareth Higgins that in certain types of car, that number 36 is a very tricky customer to beat, as here comes Gareth Higgins straight to the inside. He'll take that position away. No fight offered there by Zach Sweeney in terms of that move. Gareth is going to be tough. Thomas on the power. Look at it, just snapped.
Yeah, I figured as much. That probably would have been the situation. If I'm Thomas right there, I would be fuming at myself, because trust me, he's not the first one that does it to do this, nor he will be the last, man. It's just painful.
We've all been there, haven't we, Lorenzo?
Yeah, me multiple times, man.
Me every time. Zach Sweeney, 5th position then, and now realising that they are getting an unwanted invitee into this battle with 40 minutes to go. It's Crofton Woodhatch then, who is there in the number 22, slowly stalking down this gap, but the issue he's going to run into is Crofton. He's got to make a pit stop, I'd argue, in about 10 minutes, and his final stop is going to be longer than a lot of the drivers he's in and around.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's going to be good to see that Woodhatch is going to come in charging against these guys and trying to figure, whoa, who's off the racetrack or had a little bit of a skidding moment.
Well, that is Stanley Rolfe, who is down near the back of the field. He's gone in with contact then with Oliver Stone at Copse Corner. Now, Rolfe was lap traffic. He should have yielded and ultimately does an almost perfect recreation there of the Lewis Hamilton-Max Verstappen crash from 2021.
Oy, oy, oy. Looking forward to see that on the replay. And not the first time that Rolfe got engaged with some of the leaders, isn't he? He got also tangled up with Ben Ford for a minute right there. We're going to look now on the replay. Yeah.
Carbon copy just didn't have enough pace to reach the barriers.
Yeah, I think had he had about 20 kilometers more, I can assure you 100% that back end would have hit the tire barrier.
And it would have been an almighty shunt for the Scorpio eSports machine. You can see tips in. There is net code there, and you get a lot of net code at high-speed corners because the prediction is a little bit tougher to go and work with. It's tough for him out there, Stanley Rolfe, but ultimately in a race like this, very difficult to navigate. Sweeney now with mirrors full of Crofton Woodhatch does just enough to cover it off initially, and this is not what you want. Having to be put under pressure in the mid to late part of a race and understanding with that overtake system, I might have to burn it if I want to hold the place, but if you burn it now, you've not got it later.
Yeah, absolutely. And plus, you need to engage it at the right time. Meanwhile, Woodhatch already goes on the inside.
Yeah, burning that one perfectly was Crofton Woodhatch. Knew if he got a run out of Copse Corner, Zach's not going to fight this back, and so he can now leapfrog using Gareth Higgins, and he doesn't have to worry about effectively that chance of OTS maxing back there from the likes of Zach Sweeney to go and get himself up to that next position. So Crofton, good pass, solid pass. Now he's eyeing up Gareth Higgins, and this would be for 4th place after starting 15th.
Yeah, I'm wondering where Gareth actually would finish up in the pit stop cycle whenever he comes in about 7 minutes or so, because right now he's 9 seconds away from the leader. The pit stop over here is about 41 seconds from the run in, so if I'm Crofton, you know, I probably would have a little bit of a chance to get into top 10, knowing that some of these guys probably would have to pit one more time for a splash and dash. There's a world you can get actually back to the top 5.
You can just definitely tell the difference that he's got a lighter car than everyone around. He just breezes by over at Brooklands, and Gareth Higgins had nothing for him to offer up. Knows that it's a different game between those two at the moment, and he might see Crofton Woodhatch later on when that all pulls in. Ben Ford, by the way, out to a 6-second lead at the front of this race.
Somebody nerf Ben Ford.
Well, I don't think you can at the moment.
Yeah.
This is the car that Ben Ford drives on a regular basis. This is where he plies his trade. If there was anyone that was a specialist in this car, it's Ben Ford.
No, absolutely. No, he's driving that car like it's his baby, so he knows the ins and outs.
And Gareth Higgins then turned in for the corner. Zach Sweeney was there. There was contact that lifted up the front and has ultimately pushed away. And what's worse for Gareth Higgins, look at the front right end plate that is crunkled in over the tyre. He's got damage.
Yeah, just unfortunate to see that. And he's going to have to come in for the pit stop eventually. He's going to lose a lot of time on that car the way as it is. And it's going to be more noticeable as the laps wind down. And the invisibility of the car as well, that is just going to be all over the place.
It is, and so the balance is going to be off now, and especially on the front right, you're going to be noticing this through a number of corners, that it's just not going to turn the way you want to. Kieran Harding is in for his final stop of the race as he looks to try and get the damage limitation all sorted. I think he'll be looking at Zach Sweeney and Noah Balderston now as the two main challengers for this championship. And speaking of which, there is Joey Ireland. Now he's on the back of Charlie Devlin, and Charlie, I think, has got no reason to fight this one if Joey goes through, because Charlie is deep in the fuel safe tank, and he would have understood this strategy having worked in the week with Timothy Friis-Larsen.
Yeah, I think he got the idea. It's kind of like the call has been made. Meanwhile, Woodhatch into third place. Those doesn't even fight. And actually, for Osbaldiston, that might be quite good. Just take advantage of while you can from Woodhatch being in front of you, and maybe just save fuel. Just commit, because you're one of those guys as well that can that need to commit to the fuel.
Gareth Higgins is going to come in, and he's going to come in early here because of the damage to the front wing. I think he'll make his last stop now, use his one fast repair and get himself going. And Charlie Devlin has lost the place to Joey Ireland. Got really balked up, actually, did Charlie, through the middle of Stowe, trying to avoid it. But the issue Charlie Devlin's going to have, if he can't stay with Joey Ireland, Cam Knowles is there and Luca Monroe is there.
Yeah, just cannot afford to lose a lot of time. That's the thing. And good to see Luca inside the top 10 as well, like you were saying. I was saying before. So breaking into that top 10, getting some pace in. But for now, good battle. And now he moves another spot into 9th place as Devlin is still chasing down Joey Ireland in front of him.
That was all Cam Knowles. A mistake coming out of the outer loop had him all over the grass, over to Aintree. So Cam Knowles just avoiding the big drama out there and just about keeping himself in play. Now remember, they've also got a 25-point incident limit. They've not been quote-unquote running into each other today here, Lorenzo, but the off-tracks will start adding up in a 90-minute race.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And this is a racetrack that doesn't look like it, right, Jake? But you can get some very, very questionable off tracks. I'll call it at that, just by overdriving the car a little bit.
Yeah, the rules are very, very clear. You've got to be within the boundary. Off-tracks occur with 4 wheels off the edge of the following boundaries, rejoined before the end of the curbing, so you've got to be careful out there. They give you a description in the track rules in the iRacing server for where the limit is defined, and the limit is defined as 4 wheels off of the curves, so keep an eye out on that as you go around too early, and you might find yourself in a bit of a sticky bother, whereas you might get away with it on some laps. Then Ireland holding himself well, doing 137s mid at the moment. If you want to compare that to Ben Ford, he's in the 36.7s. Woodhatch Fastest car on track by half a second.
Yeah, but also the lightest car in the racetrack. That affects things as well.
Well, it's about how far he goes up here, and I reckon he's only a couple minutes away from being at a point where his strategy then brings itself back around. So he's using the car, being quick, putting qualifying lap after qualifying lap in because he has to, because he needs to, and he will have to take that fuel and say, look, I'll do one more stint like this and see where it gets me. It means he's going to be a threat late on here for positions. Devlin happily following then through as Sweeney and as Boulderstone then start switching. That's really clever from the Drive Lounge teammates here. Zach's not going to make it. Noah's got a chance. So now it's Zach's turn to say, look, take my draft. You might be able to make it.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of basically Zach playing the live crowd to everyone. And Noah is basically Goku requesting his powers for a Genki Dama. That's basically, that's the situation that Noah is going to find himself in. If they're going to commit, you find, I think, the right partner for you to dance to that situation. The problem is, you cannot afford to lose time as well either. And Ben Ford has run away with it, even though I think we kind of figure he's going to have to do a splash and dash.
If Zach Sweeney would look around and think that Noah's Boulderstone in this race would be Tadej Pogacar, Zach Sweeney would play the role of Rafael Majka.
Yeah, perfectly. That's the best analogy we can find, and no discussions about this.
No, absolutely. So, as far as this now sets itself up, as Boulderstone knows, keep the pace up, but give myself as much ability to save fuel. He's 12 seconds off the lead here, and he knows that he's just got to get in the tank, save, construct, and know this race isn't impossible. Oliver Stone has now been caught by Crofton Woodhatch in the battle on for second position here. So the Altitude Frame Esports car under threat from the championship leader, if we can go to that, because Crofton is not sitting back anymore. He's not waiting, and I tell you what, he's doing very, very well on this stint, and this single stint might be driving him into a position where even if he's back in the pack, he's going to be a threat. What a run through Farm, now at at Village, gets to the inside. Oliver Stone gives him it. Crofton Woodhatch is driving like a demon.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to call him? The Great White Shark with that livery.
He's going to call him Greg Norman. You're going to tell him he's a choker. My. But
yeah, he's driving like a maniac. And you know what's more impressive? We're down that last half hour of the race, and it still hasn't pitted. So the longevity out of that car, I don't think he's going to have to overfuel that much, Jake. I think he can get to the end on, I would say, in a 3/4 fuel tank. And that would basically say, oh, maybe I would guess a second, maybe a second and a half less on the pit stop.
I think that's going to tell you all you need to know here, that Crofton Woodhatch is in this race, and he has not come along just to sit at the back and take his medicine and point. He's come here to really challenge and say, look, everyone's going to be on notice, and that includes Ben Ford, who leads this field outright. So keep notice, everyone, as we head towards the final stages of this race on what will be looking more like a two-stop strategy. Track temperature, by the way, because we're in the morning, has been getting hotter and hotter. It's gone up to a 27-degree track temperature from 22 where we started. So 5 degrees of separation out there at this point in time from where the race began means that this track is getting hotter and is getting more understeery.
Yeah, and for cars that whenever they hit up the OTS, they're going to get more oversteery, which is the counterpart, because it is might be a lighter car, you're burning more fuel, you're adding more horsepower into the back end of the car, so you're making the counterbalance of the understeeriness that this track is going to give you with the hotter conditions in the racetrack.
Well, these conditions have certainly proven to be a difficult one. We've just got the one retiree from this race. That's Daniel Thomas, who threw the car in the barriers coming out of the pit lane. So that's the only car that has gone wrong today. Stanley Rolfe is a lap down. He had a crash on lap 1, used the fast repair. Kieran Harding trying to recover as well. He's in 12th as Balderstone losing ground now to Zach Sweeney.
I wonder if Noah is actually just fully committed to the fuel save like Charlie Devlin is.
I think he has to be. It's the only way he can win from here. You can't pivot anymore as in comes Crofton.
Yeah. Clockwork 26 minutes. He's going to get around out about 25 minutes and 50 seconds, or give or take 25-40 or something like that. So I think it's going to be 3/4 of fuel. So that car is going to be light. It's going to be mobile, even with the newer tires. I'll look out for Woodhatch. He might just come out of the top 10 right here. Yeah. I think he's just going to come out of the top 10 bubble, but he's going to catch them up quite quickly.
He's going to be a driver possessed to go and make passes here, but he's got a lot to get through. Knowles, Monroe, the lap down, James Fremont trying to stay out of the way. Devlin and Ireland, they're all there. Stanley Rolfe, by the way, is in the pits. He has hit the 25-point incident limit there on his incident point. So that's going to really hurt for Stanley, and so he will know that he's got another 10 to play with before he gets another one of those. He's just got to manage himself between now and the end of this race as we focus forward here on Joey Ireland, who has been running quite nicely here out there. This is the perfect pace for Charlie Devlin. He settled down and realised, I'm not far out of this draft. 0.8 of a second. This is giving me just enough of what I need.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, he's probably going to have to work a little bit more to get closer to Joey Ireland, and then just rely on Ireland to being the perfect partner to save that fuel. The question is he going to play coy with Devlin, who's on that fuel saving, because Oliver Stone is up ahead in front of him? And we believe that Oliver Stone has to do his pit stop?
Yes, but here's the issue, though. Charlie Devlin is 28 seconds, and there goes Ireland off the road. Devlin gets to the inside and says, fuel saver, otherwise I'm going to have to make the pass here, and does so up into 6th position. But here's the fact. Charlie Devlin crosses the line, 29.8 behind Ben Ford. So if Ben Ford comes in, takes a stop that is anywhere close to what Crofton Woodhatch has done, and I'd expect it's less, then Charlie Devlin's going to be at least behind him on a one-stop strategy.
Yeah, it's going to be very close. So I'm wondering how that is going to go in a short bit. But meanwhile, you saw Ireland, like Woodhatch, being very racy. You didn't even see Devlin going for an overtake. He could have gone like 1, 2, 3 times on the Wellington straight, but decided to elect to, just save fuel, play the slow song with Joey Ireland, and hope that it takes him all the way.
He's hoping to go and make sure that this is going to send him to a one-stop haven, but at the moment he's trying to work out whether he can get past border control. At the moment he's trying to get by Ireland out there, and he's not quite got the flight booked as far as this one goes. Oliver Stone, Ben Ford, 9.4 seconds is now the margin gap, and they are starting to think about late game in this season. At what point, as a team, if you're looking at Drive Lounge, obviously you know that Kieran Harding's way down the order, and you've got to try and commit. You've added Noah Osbaldeston to the mix. Is this the moment you sacrifice Zach Sweeney to get Noah's result?
I'm sorry, Zach. We love you. Big hearts. Less than 3 in the chat. But yeah, I would sacrifice you 100%. This is Squid Game.
Well, it seems like that is going to have to be how it will have to be. He's 9/10 clear of Noah Osbaldeston, and I think they have to understand They've got to do what they do for the best possible chance, and actually a great chance to talk about how chalk and cheese the next round is compared to this one. 90 minutes in a Super Formula car compared to two 20-minute races, elbows out at Thruxton in TCRs for a touring car field.
I know some people are definitely not looking forward to this race. And if we're taking what happened to the 6 hour last year, right? The 3 hour race last year, I'll be looking forward to see some people trying to risk it in those two 20-minute races. It's going to be fun.
Those two 20-minute races, I think, are going to be make or breakers for the championship. They are going to be the most stick it on the wall that you can possibly find out there, and you're just going to have to sit down. Gareth Higgins, by the way, not out of this race. He's only 5 seconds back of Crofton Woodhatch.
Interesting. But I think Higgins, I don't know if Higgins is still due to a final splash and dash pit stop.
No, he's not. He's good to go.
True. It's just a normal pit stop. And the car is just going to be a slight. The question is, I don't think Higgins might have the pace to get closer to Woodhatch, though.
Well, you say that. He took another 1/10 of a second out of him. He's not got the time to do it, but it puts Gareth Higgins in podium watch.
It does. It does. If not in podium spot, it's going to be close to the podium, maybe top 5 for sure for the CMRC driver.
He'd very much love that. Team 75, Bernard by CMRC, as they often get called these days. He's a real weapon, is the likes of Gareth Higgins in the 24-hour esports series, and I know that's coming back soon on RaceSpot TV, and that will be really fun to see that level of endurance racing in play. Ben Sieber is in for his final stop, as Stanley Rolfe has been in the pits for a very long time. I think he's parked it and said day done, and his day is done with no front nose out there. So where has Stanley gone and put that one then to bed? So that's really hurt. Oh, he's done exactly the same thing as Daniel Thomas. Can you believe it? He just had a drive-through through the pit, engaged the throttle or disengaged the limiter, and he went around exactly the same way Daniel Thomas did Stanley Rolfe.
Dear, oh dear.
Lorenzo, you said that Daniel Thomas wouldn't be the last.
I guess Carson Holsevar would win a NASCAR. I guess it right. I did get my baby wrong. I thought my baby was going to be a girl. It's a boy.
Project Bonda?
Yeah?
Go on. Sim Racing, Project Bonda.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely going to have more irony than I have right now. As look how his guy is in the pit lanes. As we're going to look what happened to Rolfe.
Going to see, engages the limiter. Oh.
Yep. I've learned the hard way in that car when I was in practice sessions in Suzuka once that you can just simply turn the car around and then reaccelerate, hard pedal while the car is nearly on full lock or close to full lock. First gear has so much torque that the car will want to step out, so you have to be kind of, you know, light-footed. I'm trying to think feather-footed on the pedal for you to avoid a crash like that.
You have to tickle it. You don't want to brick down on the foot, and you know you got to ask yourself in a scenario like this out there when you're leaving the pits, what would you rather have, a kilogram on the throttle of feathers or a kilogram on the throttle of bricks?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow, this has been a really tough battle out there, and they know they've just got to try and set themselves up for the end of this race. Sweeney has been doing such a good job giving Noah's Boulderston a piggyback around here. Harley Byrne is about to go a lap down in front of these drivers, so that'll be another car to just move about then and displace at this point. Aidan Carter on the push to pass then in what is 5th position. He realizes he's only 3 seconds off the back of Zach Sweeney. He could be in for some good points if he can just get himself closed up to this group.
Yeah, and looking from the pace of Aiden, there's a possibility he could join them first he needs to get closer to Noah. The last lap was a 36.1. That was actually Aiden's best lap in the whole race.
Yeah, and, you know, you've got to give credit to Aiden Carter. Car's light right now. He's using it well, and so he's found that sweet spot where the track's rubbing in a bit more from the amount of running that they've had, and so he is going to go out there and he is going to push with everything that he can muster. In comes Stuart Rice then for his final stop. None of the top two make that pull into pit, so they keep going down to 16 3/4 minutes now as Harley Byrne now will also make his pit stop.
Yeah, the final pit stops are coming in. Those who are not going to be able to make it to the end are gonna do their final pit stop and just get some run in. Sweeney's car just got a little bit shaky coming into the Abbey, but there was grip in the car, and Noah's just right behind the back wing as the Drive Lounge brothers in arms are basically in tandem trying to do the best effort to save fuel in Osbaldiston's car.
Yeah, representing Norfolk in England out there, which is on the east out there, or what would be known as East Anglia in terms of the UK region, as they push to try and really hold themselves steady. They understand what the end of this race is all about and where they're trying to get the result, as Balderston will be noting that he's only 15 seconds off of Ben Ford right now. If he makes his stop and gets 25 and has 10 seconds to hold, it's about how much time have you got left, and that's the question I think you've got to start wondering. How much of a gap will he have? How much time will the cars behind have to chase down number 24?
Yeah, absolutely. It's that numbers game that I like to talk about. We've seen something similar in the last race, didn't we? In Knowlton Park, basically everybody just trying to hit their fuel marks and everything. So everybody's committed, and this could be a very, very exciting end of a race.
Well, we know that Noah Osbaldiston was short by about a minute on his first stint, so he's not just trying to reach a number, he's trying to reach over the number by an extra lap. He saw Daniel Thomas do it. The question is, can he?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the greatest question, and they still have to contend with the fact that if they lose out, it's going to be like, for example, if Ben Ford comes into the pit lane, it's going to be about, I think it's going to be about 20-something seconds with a little less to go. Ben might be out of this race. Aiden's already reaching with the push to pass, so with the OTS. So looking forward, man, this race is providing some great moments for us to watch and try to break down.
There's a lot of positions late that want to be dealt with. For example, Crofton Woodhatch is only 4 seconds off the back of Charlie Devlin, who is on the fuel save as well. So how will that game play with Cam Knowles still to try and get through and decide as well? So there's still every point up for grabs. And if Osbaldiston can win this race from this position, he can start eating into that 30-point gap. And if he starts seeing that momentum turn the other way around to Crofton Woodhatch, that is going to be a huge psychological advantage heading to Thruxton.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you are in crunch time. It's not how about you start, is how you finish. And this might be great for Osbaldiston. Might be basically a boost for the Drive Lounge driver, and basically a good momentum carryover to Thruxton. The thing is, Thruxton is one of those tracks that can be quite deadly to drivers who are not used how to drive it, especially in a TCR.
It is a very tough circuit for a profile that looks like it's just a squiggle on a page out there, essentially. It is a brilliant track for racing, and it is one where I think it goes underrated. Until you've driven it, you don't know why that circuit is so good. But here at Silverstone, Osbaldiston is continuing on, but Aiden Carter looming large on that last lap. He took a full second out of Noah Osbaldiston, and he can disrupt this group right now. He can rock the apple cart.
Yeah. If he does anything, I wonder what's going to happen to Osbaldiston, if he's going to save or try to fight back. I think at this point, they're just concerned with the fuel numbers. They're not going to be overly concerned with the Aiden Carter more importantly as well, just as I see them run off so wide into the exit of Cobbs right there, I wonder how many incident points they might have left into that car in the way they're trying to drive and keep up with each other in the field as well.
It's going to be interesting because if they're taking the path of least resistance, I doubt they're being aggressive. And if you're just settling on, I'm going to drive to the same line as the car in front, you're not really going to be pushing too far, too wide, too aggressive. In comes Aiden Carter. He used all of the energy to get up to that point and has gone and really thrown it. And I tell you what, he used all of those tyres there trying to slow it down. He was not waiting, was Aiden Carter, to get those off. Big puff of smoke on the lockup, getting to the line.
Yeah, just fully committed into it, as he's going to get about 11 minutes and 15 seconds, give or take, of left of racing. He just cannot do the same thing that Daniel Thomas and Stanley Roth have done it in the exit out of the pit lane.
Steady on now, Aiden. Gets himself through in the Fry Guys Motorsports machine on the power. That has a little wiggle, but nothing to write home about. He's back up and away, and he is going to be joined by the likes of Stuart Rice, who is going to try and lunge down the inside as lap traffic. Never ideal. He's ahead of Gareth Higgins here is Aiden Carter. He's behind Crofton Woodhatch, which means if Zach Sweeney pits, he's behind Crofton Woodhatch.
Yeah, I think if Oliver Stone pits, if Zach pits, they're definitely going to be right behind him. Maybe Oliver might be closer, a little bit in front, but because of the Dakota tires, I wonder if Oliver should just take fuel at this point. I think if he pits, he just have to take fuel and hope that the amount that he accrued to Crofton is enough for to not allow Woodhatch to come in and fight him for position.
Well, we're down to just 10 minutes left in this race, and this is becoming a real nervous one where everyone's sitting hoping that they're not going to be the one that has to break the ice out there and say, hi, how you doing? I need a second pit stop. This is going to be tough. Aiden Carter, by the way, with the fastest lap of the race in his back pocket down in 9th position. It's all about management in the final stages of this race. Working through now goes Cam Knowles down to make his final stop then as he hits his marks and goes then in for that. And he notes as well, does the likes there of Joey Ireland and Charlie Devlin. Charlie is looking behind. That gap to Crofton Woodhatch suddenly is sitting at 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, just crumbling down the time right there. Just quite a dangerous moment for Joey Ireland, as we saw Ireland be very racy against Devlin, taking some time away from him, but Devlin is just playing the patient game, just setting on those 39 seconds at the end of the day. I was just taking a quick look as Garrett Higgins pit stop, Crofton's pit stop. It's a 30-second pit stop. I'm just trying to fight for the other ones. It's sitting about 39-something seconds. So, for example, imagine if Ben Ford pits right now. Devlin actually has a chance to overlap all these guys in the front of the lead.
Here comes Ben Ford.
Pits.
Right from the race lead. He won't need a jug of water. He won't even need a fuel pump. He'll probably go out, go to the water cooler, pick up a plastic cup, Lorenzo, and say, I want a cup of water.
Yeah, if not even a cup of water, maybe just a drop of water.
Yeah, he only wants a small morsel of fuel. As Balderston then as Stone and Sweeney both pit is going to take the race lead, and he is not going to take tyres. There is Ben Ford. He's just going to get straight back out and away. Charlie Devlin and Crofton Woodhatch, they're only just going through the Vale and into Club Corner now, so he's got a big launch on them. Where's Oliver Stone going to come out then in all of this? He leaves his box right now and gets up to speed. Where is Crofton Woodhatch? He's not close enough. He's ahead of Charlie Devlin as well. Critical stop from Oliver Stone. He's been able to get up ahead.
Yeah, but he's gonna have the heavier car out of the three, and he's gonna face some trouble. So the only thing I haven't seen from Aiden, sorry, not from Aiden, but from Oliver, if he took tires on that car. If I'm me, I'm not taking tires, and I'm taking this all the way. I'm trying to minimize my losses with the tire loss. So I'm just praying to little Jesus of sim racing that these two don't catch me up.
Well, if they catch you, you're going to have to fight for it, and that's what you've saved the overtake system for out there in the race. So Oliver Stone's just got to get himself up to speed and up to speed quickly. Sweeney knows he's got to do the same, but he's got to catch. Crofton Woodhatch is all over the back now of Charlie Devlin, and I think this hanger straight isn't going to be so much of a prediction as it is a fact. He's trying to get around him here, even through Beckett's corner right now. Crofton's got so much difference here compared to the game that Charlie Devlin's playing. Surely now under the Johnny Walker Bridge, this is going to be where you see a moment, but it's a defence then from Charlie Devlin. A half a defence has given, and he can only give so much. Again on the inside, a massive lift and coast. Crofton is going to try and go around the outside, give just enough room. Charlie Devlin's pinch holds on for now.
And Woodhatch, oh my God, what a snap off the rear of the car and just manages to save it. And right behind there's Sweeney. So Sweeney actually can try to snatch some positions away from Woodhatch.
And Aiden Carter.
Yeah, so this is turning out to be a frantic end of a race over here in virtual Silverstone.
6 minutes left. Crofton Woodhatch needs the point, but Charlie Devlin is holding him up right now because he's got every right to fight to hold on for this 4th position out there. Crofton knows this could be critical as he looks to the inside. He doesn't get close enough, but Sweeney is now there. If they continue like this, Aiden Carter can bring himself into the party. Do you burn overtake system now to try and get this move done? I think you might have to. Zach Sweeney is rampaging towards them as they head to Cops.
Yeah, he's driving like a maniac. He's just trying to force the issue. And that's a great momentum base for Sweeney right there as they approach Maggins and Beckett. It's just a crazy moment as they go nearly side by side through Chapel.
Oh, Crofton's really trying to pick this up. And I tell you what, this is brilliant from Charlie Devlin as he looks to hold. Now here comes the chance. Outside line looking. Sweeney looks calm as he sees the battle in front. Woodhatch sweeps around the outside at Cop's corner and gets one on Charlie Devlin. Now Zach's got to go straight attacking. Goes to the outside. He's the last of the late breakers. Is Zach Sweeney. Gets a wiggle through the middle of the corner. Oh, they tag. Round goes Devlin. A tale as old as time for him this season.
Oi, 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 oi. Zach just overcooked the corner, trying to go around Club, and just wasn't enough as he comes back into the racing line. And there's Aiden Carter on the inside of Farm going into the next corner and just heading himself into loop. And Zach is going to get penalized most likely. And you know this might happen. He might actually start from the back in the next race.
He doesn't want that, and he knows that he's under the eye of the stewards having a look at it. Gareth Higgins is out of the race, and so he's had a moment through the traffic where he's run up the back of Charlie Devlin and lost the nose and the wheel, and he's out. So 2 things to look at. Devlin first gets tagged and turned around. Nothing he can do about it. He was playing on a fine line and hoping it was going to work out, but later on, Gareth Higgins over the back of Devlin loses that that front wing and tyre, and basically his day is written off.
Yeah, we're going to look on the replay right here on turn 1. As soon as he crosses around, too much speed loss, and bam, they done.
No, it's just done the fastest lap of the race.
I am not understanding anything right now.
What? Okay then. You play your game. We don't know what you're doing, Noah. My goodness, Devlin now dropping down the order here as he now has himself heavy damage on his car. He's gone around for a spin and he's just trying to limp himself on back with what he's got. Harley Byrne going by, but now it's going to be Sweeney and Carter going out there. So this is Devlin. So is that 3 in a... Yeah, there you go. 3 in a row. Yeah. As he spins it around. Rice goes around as well, shaken off of his line too. And Kieran Harding now gets into the top. Look at that crabbing.
And that car is not straight. not by any stretch of a mile.
Sweeney looking for this one on Aidan Carter along the Wellington Straight in front of the BRDC building. He hopes to get a pass, but at the moment, he's not going to find it yet. Aidan has got himself a very nice line. He started 10th, he's up in 5th position, and he's driving a dream at this moment. We know we're down to 2:25 on the clock. The agony here for Noah Osbaldeston is he's going to be about 20 seconds shy and 2 laps short of fuel. Noah Osbaldeston has to pit. I think that's why we saw the fastest lap. He needed to build gap. The fuel safe didn't work.
Yeah, I think just way too short, and the commitment was right there. The problem is just not enough for him to make it to the end, and Ben Ford is going to run away with this. And potentially Oliver Stone might actually come up with 2nd place, and Crofton Woodhatch might actually come in 3rd.
He might, and that would be huge, but he's now making his way. He's got to go to the 3rd to last pit box here. He won't take tyres, he'll only take fuel. And now, how quickly will he go? He's off and away immediately. Woodhatch is making his way down the main straight. It's going to be close here between them, but Noah Osbaldeston's going to be ahead, and he's going to be ahead by about 3 seconds.
Yeah, so it's going to be basically a 1-lap, 2-lap battle between them. Meanwhile, Zach Sweeney around the outside, after farm, and then the loop is going to look on the inside of Carter. He's not going to have any room, so a good battle for the top 5 positions with 2 to go.
Well, he knows here, does Aidan Carter, that he is denying Zach Sweeney some critical points to stay in touch with Osbaldeston and Woodhatch here. And Noah Osbaldeston is only 1.7 seconds, has to be noted, behind Oliver Stone. So Stone's not out of the woodworks just yet, because Noah's going to have to try and pull the sword from the stone if he wants any point separation between him and Crofton today. Look at the lines taken here as Sweeney is just trying to hold desperately onto that toe to get the momentum.
Just crazy scenes over here in Silverstone as Sweeney is trying everything. Plus, he needs positions and everything, considering that he might actually get a post-race penalty from the contact he had on Charlie Devlin. So anything for an also on Sweeney's end goes. And you can even see that I think it's on the regen of his overtake. They're going to get one more shot at this. The question is where they use that overtake.
Well, they'll all use it. They'll use it to the ground because the white flag lap has started here from Ben Ford. We're going to see zeros on the clock of 90 minutes. And now that fight that's going on here for 5th position is where the most importance is going to be. Zach Sweeney, if he wants to keep his title hopes alive, is going to have to find a pass here on Aidan Carter. But Aidan is a very tricky customer to go and get by. Sweeney closing up then through at Village, now through the outer loop. He will now look to try and throw Aidan Carter through a loop through Aintree, and along here the Wellington Straight. Carter immediately to the right, back to the left, a change for position through at turn 1. Joey Ireland getting one over on Cam Knowles for placement. 1 second is the gap between Osbaldeston and Stone. He might have half a chance on this final lap, because they are running so close on the margins that they've got. Carter and Sweeney both using their push to passes here to get themselves up to level. They know this has been a tough day. Running through Stowe right now is your race leader. He's in that mock-up Lewis Hamilton livery. He's even got number 44 out there on the car. This has been a stellar drive from Mr. Super Formula in the British Sim Racing Cup. Ben Ford comes to the line and wins at Silverstone. Watch out for second, as Osbaldeston's not done yet. Oliver Stone's gone really defensive here into the left and right at Club Corner. Can Osbaldeston pick up a run off the exit? He's going to be short as they come to the line. Oliver Stone holds on for 2nd place, and a critical hold that will damage Osbaldeston's hopes. Aidan Carter staves off Sweeney.
Yeah, what a race, man. Meanwhile, I think we're seeing more people coming in as we're looking to Kieran Harding finishing in the top 10. And Ben Ford, man, what a race from Ben. We know his primary car is a Super Formula. Drove this car like he was a demon possessed at some point in the beginning of the race, and someone ran out of fuel.
Cam Knowles. It's Cam Knowles. That's a freebie for Kieran Harding. He needed that as he crosses the line. Cameron Knowles is out of fuel as he crosses the line, and that will cost him 2 critical places, and he will kick himself.
It's the commitment sometimes just gets you in the rear, and meanwhile we're looking, I think, at Jens Vermont. He might be the second to last car. I think he's still in this track to still yet to complete his lap. There he goes into the finish line, P15 for him. I don't know if Garrett Higgins is still in the racetrack as well, trying to wrap up his final lap of the race.
Charlie Devlin would be the last car over the line and on the leading lap, and so let's get confirmation of result then as he sets the fastest lap at the end in anger. Ben Ford wins this race, 1 hour 31 minutes and 13 seconds, a winning margin of 17.1 over Oliver Stone, as Noah Balderston will be the last car then on the podium as he just couldn't find a way to have his King Arthur moment. Crofton Woodhatch, what a drive, by the way, from 15th to 4th. He wasn't allowed to qualify, and he's only mitigated the damage to one driver, and he improved against everyone else. Aidan Carter will be fit. He held Zach Sweeney to account, as Joey Ireland will finish off in 7th ahead of Luca Munro, Kieran Harding, and Cam Knowles running out of fuel over the line. Last car on the lead lap is Charlie Devlin with hefty amounts of contact. For him, he knows championship dream is all but dashed now for him in the 230. Ben Sieber and Stuart Rice, 12th and 13th, with Harley Byrne and James Fremont 1 laps down. 3 down for Gareth Higgins, who crashed over the rear wing of Charlie Devlin. That saw the end of his race done and dusted. Stanley Rolfe and Daniel Thomas finding out that Silverstone actually is a pretty difficult pit lane on exit if you're not paying attention. Both of their races ending in that regard. We're going to take this chance, though, to chat to some of our drivers. Your race winner here today is Ben Ford. Ben, we said that it needed to be a race like 2008. You've got the special Lewis Hamilton livery from McLaren on out there, and you just walked away with it.
Obviously in the end I walked away with it, but in the last stint I was worried that Noah was not going to have to pit. So I was just pushing like mad to keep the laps up so they didn't drop to 1 lap less. So I think the race got to 56 laps. I think if I'd have backed off a bit to try and save fuel as well, it would have gone to 55, and I think he might have just made it. So I'm happy with how the race went. Because in practice, I couldn't save that much fuel and keep the pace up. So I'm happy that my strategy turned out to be the right one in the end.
You had a great strategy, and talk about making those moves in the early stage. It looked like every time we went to you, there was another, there was another, there was another. We know this is a track that suits the super formulas for making moves, but you walked through the train out there as if you were trying to get over to the driver's conductor's area.
Well, I feel like I got a bad start because I came off the line well, but then I just put myself in a bad position in the next 2 corners. But yeah, I know I had more pace. I was just waiting by my time, not taking too many risks. And a few of them I knew they were going to fuel save. So just went for the move because I knew they'd back off early. So it wasn't too bad in the end. But I'm very happy because I love that track and I love the car. So I'm very happy to win it.
Well, one win could very much lead to another. How are you feeling about jumping over to the TCR cars and battling at Thruxton?
Well, Thruxton, I'm only 20 minutes away from Thruxton, so it's probably my closest track, well, it is the closest track of the season for me. But TCRs, they're fun to drive, but I'm not very quick in them, so it'll be interesting.
Well, wish you the best of luck for that then. Your race winner is Ben Ford, getting it absolutely brilliantly done here today. Second position belonged to Altitude Frame Esports' Oliver Stone. He stood by with Lorenzo Bonda.
Yes, Oliver, man, what a race you had. Up until the very end, you were fighting with Noah for P2. What about this fuel race? Did you think at one point you might have had a chance at the end of the race, but did the two-stopper was always the main strategy to go?
I think the two-stopper was always like in my head as the one. I honestly didn't think the one stop was even possible, but like some people got, I don't know if anyone actually did it, but people got very close, which was making me like, when I saw Noah in first with a few laps to go, I was like, there's no way. Like, how's he done that? But yeah, it was a bit too close for comfort at the end.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And talk us about that battle. What was going through your head with Noah? I think he had more overtake seconds than you. I don't know if you ended up using your OTS at the end. So talk us through trying to defend the onslaught that was coming from the drive lounge driver.
Yeah, I saw the gap was like 2 seconds, and then on the straights I saw how quick it was going down, so I knew he had his overtake, but it was like he had so much left. I only had about 30 seconds, and I just knew it was coming, and I got to that last straight, and I was so scared. Like, I really thought he was going to get me or like send one straight in, but I just had enough. But yeah, I mean, fair play to Ben as well, winning that race by 17 seconds. His pace was ridiculous, and I didn't have an answer for it. And Crofton as well, and like all the rest of the boys.
Still, you get P2. That's what matters. You get points for your championship that will carry you through to Thruxton next week in the TCR base track with the TCR car. How's the confidence looking for you, Oliver, as you are now moving into what could be a very hectic 2 by 2 minute race, 20-minute race?
Yeah, I think it's more out of my comfort zone. I like formula cars. That's what I like. I'm used to racing, but like I think I've done like 10 laps in the TCR before, so I better get practicing, and we'll see how it goes. But Thruxton will be a bit crazy for sure.
Oh, absolutely. With that being said, congratulations on this podium, man. Well earned, and we'll see you in about a week in Thruxton.
Cheers, guys.
TCRs.
Thank you.
Well, wonderful result there for Oliver Stone, and it was a great attempt from Noah Boulderston, who is stood with me right now. Noah, critically, it was a great result out there today, a third place. You do take points from Crofton Woodhatch, not as many as you'd like, but your fuel stop strategy, trying to make it on a one stop, 2 laps shy. Just talk us through the attempt on trying to make it on one.
Yeah, so it sort of actually, I went into the race going with a 2-stop. You know, me, Zach, and Kieran were like, it's going to be a 2-stop. And then sort of lap 1 happened. Charlie just didn't move off the line. And then I had a really good start in the lead, and I came around for the first 3 laps, and it said I only needed 0.3 of a lap of fuel. So I was like, oh, okay, well, hang on a minute, let me do a bit of lift and coast and stuff, and I thought I could do a 1-stop. And by the end of the by lap 16, 17, in stint 1, it said I needed 0.3 of a lap. So I thought, okay, well, I still need 0.3 of a lap. And then at the end of lap 21, it went from I needed 0.2 of a lap to 1.2 of a lap, and I thought, oh, that's, yeah, problems. So from then on, it was kind of like, well, I've already committed, I've lost the time, and from then on, I was just like, well, I'm going to try and pit to 45 minutes as close as I can, and maybe have to do a really short stop and fuel in the second stop, and then came out the pits. The gap was about 9 seconds to Ben, and I still needed to save another lap of fuel. So from then on, I sort of partnered with Zach a little bit in the race, tried to save the fuel, and at the end of the day, it just wasn't going to happen. So I had to come into the lap for about, I think, 0.7 of a lap of fuel. Again, that's now 2 weeks in a row where I've lost on strategy, so it's for me it's quite frustrating, really, because I did it towards the end of the race. I had some really good pace, and yeah, it's now back-to-back weeks. I've lost really good results to some poor strategy decisions. So I think we need to go back to the drawing board at Drive Lounge and really sort out these strategies. Thankfully, it's the last one of the season where strategy is involved with Porsche Cup and TCR. Up next, so really looking forward to those rounds, especially TCR. I know Crofton's going to be really quick in Porsche Cup, so if I'm going to get some more points on Crofton, it's going to need to be in TCR.
And so when you're looking over to that next round, going in and understanding, right, we're in tin tops now for the final 2 rounds, does that then confirm your basis of we're going to need points, we're going to need points quickly, and you know, in a series or a car combination which is normally elbows out, are you going to have to be more elbows out than most next week?
No, I think for me, I'm going to still race fairly. There's, yes, you can get away with a little bit more rubbing, but I'm not gonna go take someone out, or deliberately just decide to be a bit more rough because it's in one car compared to the other. No, I'm going to race Crofton really respectfully. He's raced me respectfully. I've raced him respectfully all season. Same with Zach and Oliver and Ben. We've all raced respectively. So, yes, I'm going to be more aggressive into TCR because I need more points, but, I'm going to do it with my pace and hopefully some good racecraft.
Well, go out there and celebrate your P3 and note that there's still work to be done. Noah Balderston getting that third place all sorted. Finally, we're going to look over to fourth position, because what a drive today from your championship leader. Lorenzo stood by with Crofton Woodhatch.
Yeah, Crofton, mate, you were driving like a demon possessed in that car. So nearly two 30-minute strategy, two 30-minute strategies, pit stops and everything. Was that the idea going forward into this race, where you just saw perspective of the race, or maybe I had to pit a little bit earlier, undercut some of these people and see if it takes me all the way to the end?
Yeah, I was a little bit stuck in that first stint. I couldn't quite get past some of the cars. So I was sort of trying to pit as early as I could to try and get out of that. And then I think that sort of killed a little bit of what I was doing, because the guys at the front were just going so much quicker at those first few laps of my tyres coming up to temperature, that I just lost a bit too much. I also put in too much fuel and stuff like that. So there's a few seconds here and there. I think second was on the cards, to be honest. And I think if I was starting at the front, I could have matched Ben. I know that he's a bit of a super Formula driver, I think, but I think that I would have been able to stick with him. If I was at the front, I just got a bit stuck in that first stint.
Yeah, pretty much with that 4-car train with Joy Ireland and everyone else, right? So basically, that might have been your undoing. But with that being said, you come into first place in this race, which for someone who started at the back must be. I know you said about maybe second place being the real result had everything gone your way, but the fourth place in a race that could have gone so much differently with the battles in here and there must be a good result at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I kept it clean. Don't think I'll get a penalty for anything this week, which is good. And I knew coming into the race that with my drop score, I had a 5th place pretty much from this race already. If I was to score less than that, so I pretty much was just full push, see what happens. I managed to get 4th and only 1 spot behind Noah, outscore everyone else. So everyone else in the championship fight. So it was a good day.
Yeah, I think you managed to minimize the damage, I think, on this championship, especially with Noah finishing in the top 3. But now we transition away from these strategy, more like base races with feel and everything. We're going to trucks and in the TCRs. What do you feel about those 10 top cars, driving fast, banging doors, trading wheels, and something else of the sort in the fast trucks and track?
Yeah, TCR is sort of my go-to on iRacing. So
yeah,
if I don't do well there, I'll be annoyed. But no, I've not. To be honest, I've not driven the new TCR that much because I've been focusing on other things. I've had a bit of a go. I know Noah and Charlie are doing a different league, this TCR, and I think they're pretty handy in it. So I'll be looking out for them. But I'm pretty confident I can do well there. It's just picking the right car, I guess.
Well, we'll see if you're going to be selecting the right car and having the right pace to match everybody else in the field. That being said, congratulations on 4th place, and we'll see you in a week.
Thank you.
Wow, what incredible running we have had here today from Silverstone. And, well, 7 days from now, they are going to be getting the elbows out. They're going to be fighting with everything they've possibly got over at Hampshire's finest. Thruxton is going to be the battleground that you will see May 5th, 8 p.m. BST. You're going to want to be there. It is one of, if not the fastest track in the United Kingdom. But what a brilliant battleground we've had at Silverstone. But they all know that this was a chance to hold points. Crofton Woodhatch has limited the damage quite nicely. Noah Balderston chips at him, but he needs a lot more if he wants the title away. It's seen pretenders fall by the wayside. Kieran Harding with damage on lap 1. Charlie Devlin turned around again. Zach Sweety's holding on by his fingertips, but everyone knows nobody could catch the driver in the number 44 out there, because everyone knew the day belonged to Ben Ford.